Hello, I'm Cindy Milner from Pathways for Parents. Welcome to our show today. Today we're introducing a program that we've done recently called Raising a Thinking Child. And here's our families who participated, and you'll hear a little bit more about their experience. But first, I'm going to introduce you to Peggy Hoyme, who is our consultant. Peggy, hi Peggy. And the families are back here. Can you say hello, everybody?
Hello.
Families come with their children. We do childcare and then the adult discussion on learning the tools for raising a thinking child, aimed at children 4 to 8 years old. We'll explain more soon. Welcome back to Parent Cafe. I'm Cindy Milner from Pathways for Parents. You saw our little group or our big group of families and children that came together around raising a thinking child. So now you're going to hear the discussion and what really happened behind the scenes in the workshop. It is an 8-week workshop, which all of these families did a great job participating as many times as they could, and walked away with some great tools. So again, I'm going to introduce Peggy. She was our consultant for the program, did a great job. And Peggy, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a former school teacher with a background in elementary and special education. And for the last 15 years, I've been doing parent coaching. I'm a certified parent coach and family coach. And I'm also a certified behavior consultant in association with the Fitzgerald Institute.
Perfect. And prior to that, you were with Bill Corbett, who's been a native of this area and who
Yes, Cooperative Kids, and that's where I became a certified family coach.
Yeah, terrific. Very good. Great background, great dynamic that you have.
Thank you.
And let's meet our families.
Hello,
Hi, Larry.
my name's Larry Boot, and I'm glad to be here. And just a little bit about myself, sort of later in my years, you might say, because my gray hair, my wife and I, we decided that it was time to do something, to do something to help children. And we decided to take on the role of a foster parent. And we were just pleased in doing that. And that moved into an adoption situation. So we were happy to adopt our child. And we felt we were good parents, but we felt we could always do better. There's always room for improvement. And we looked and we saw this parenting program presented by Pathways for Parents. And Cindy was fantastic as a director. And we've just grown so much in the program and learned a lot of things.
Thank you, Larry. And Paula.
Hi, my name is Paula Booten, and we have one daughter named Victoria, and she's been with us since she was 1 year and 3 months, and now she is 6 years old. And I'm Larry's wife.
Perfect. Great. Let me go to Nat.
My name is Nat Caputo. My wife and I have been doing daycare for about 10 years. We've been doing foster care for about 6. We've dealt with lots of challenging behaviors. So we've known Cindy for about 15 years. So we decided to take one of her classes to see if we could improve our skills.
Perfect. And your family ranges, your children are in their 30s, your
Yes.
grandchildren.
I have 2 children from my first marriage in their 30s. I have 2 grandchildren that are 3.5 and 1, just over 1. And then we do foster care, and they range in ages from, we get them as young as 3 days old and as old as 5 or 6. And they're all different behaviorals. And we also have a 6-year-old son that we adopted through DCF, and has many challenges with his behavior. And we saw the program and figured raising a thinking child would help us with a lot of the behavioral things we're coming up against with him, because they're all of his behavior is nothing compared to what was with my older children. It's a whole different set of
So whether
behavior.
you're a parent, a grandparent, a foster parent, all of these tools have come out to help, right? Yeah, and it's really about the parenting, but it's also about developing the child, and Peggy will talk more about that. And Crystal.
Hi, I'm Crystal Collins. I have 3 boys, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So my constant struggle is just keeping balance and harmony and being a good parent at the same time, and just helping raise them to be nice, kind individuals who are very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm. And so far, done a great job.
Oh, it's not me,
They're
it's
wonderful.
them.
They are wonderful. This is the program that we're going to talk about today, Raising a Thinking Child. And Raising a Thinking Child is funded by the Children's Trust. We have partners in the community that have provided us with some supports, which is a wonderful thing. And I'm excited. This 8-week program, I thought, oh, how difficult. But boy, it really took off. The kids came, we did childcare, which I think makes things easier for parents to be able to participate, and some great discussion. And you'll learn some tools here in this quick little snippet of our program today. But if you are interested in registering for the program, call Pathways for Parents at 583-3527. Now let's get into this. So Peggy, do I want to start with Peggy? Yeah, I'll start with Peggy. Peggy, when you read this curriculum, you were excited about it.
Yes, very excited.
And tell me why.
Because we live in a world where things are moving so fast that what I've noticed is we often end up telling kids, right? And we take some shortcuts in parenting, not because we're not good parents, but because life is moving so fast, we're stressed out. So we end up telling kids over and over. And the number one complaint I hear parents say is, my kids don't listen to me. So when I read this curriculum and I saw, wow, these are practical tools that we can give parents, that you can take home, work through the workbook, and it will literally teach you how to teach your kids to think for themselves. And while it may take a little bit more time on the front end, it's going to save you a lot of time and energy on the back end, which I think some of you experienced. By the way, Cindy, this was the best group because everybody came with open minds.
Mm-hmm.
I loved, this was a great group.
Well, they came with open
And we
minds.
learned from each other.
And what I love about it is that you're right. We all learn from each other. And it wasn't, you were not talking at them. It was a group discussion. So, if Larry had a question, he could ask that question very, very easily, comfortably. And if Nat had a question, or Candy, or Crystal, you felt comfortable pitching in and saying, hey, this is what's going on in my home. This is what's going on with us. And you could get some support around that. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we became comfortable enough in saying that we're doing this and it's not working. So we could come to Peggy with our problems, and we knew we weren't doing the right thing, but she could tell us, you're doing what you're doing, and this is something that you could be doing.
Right.
And give us some ideas.
And I think one of the biggest things in all of the groups that I provide is that I want you to feel you're not alone. This is not a challenge that you have to do alone. There's always some support, there's resources, and I don't know it all, but I'll find whatever you need to help you out, right?
One thing that I thought was great is the government offers a lot of good deals and tax deductions and business economic enterprise things. This was a free program for parents.
Free program. for
And a
parents.
badly needed program, I think, for anyone who wants to be a better parent. Take advantage of this because Peggy with the free daycare and with Cindy with the free daycare and Peggy with the knowledge of parenting, it's a win for you. It's going to make less stress in your family. And families are very stressful. It's the most centered attraction that we spend our time. So why not make it easier and join a parenting group? And let the fears that you have will slowly diminish and you'll gain a lot of great skills like I feel I have.
Perfect, thanks. Peggy, What was the biggest learning curve in the curriculum that you felt parents needed to understand? What's the biggest learning curve? I mean, I know for me is to rephrase what I'm saying to my children. Is that
You're
true?
exactly right. And you know, we can get real close, but sometimes if we're a bubble off, it can keep us from getting the outcomes that we want. And I think, and please tell me if you agree or disagree, but I think one real learning curve was being more aware to stop telling and stop talking. One of the reasons why kids don't listen is because we talk too much.
The big
So they
red
just
lips.
tune us out. Right. But when we start asking, what happens is now we engage the child. Children are just like us, they love to talk about themselves. So when we start asking questions, I said earlier, the biggest complaint parents have is that kids don't listen. Another complaint I hear a lot is, my child just never thinks. Why didn't he think? But thinking is something we need to teach them. So raising a thinking child, that's something we need to teach them. How do we teach them in a nutshell? We learn to ask them rather than tell them.
Right, right. And I kind of brought some books to just throw in here a little bit here and there about things like how would we do this? When we're working with young children, it's making it realistic, bringing it down to their level. So I love this book called Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, and many of you might be familiar with it. But the question here would be what? What would we ask? No, don't let that pigeon drive the bus. The pigeon can't drive the bus.
You would
Right.
ask, why not?
Why can't he drive the bus? Let the children be thinking about that whole piece, right? So,
Would it be a good idea to let a pigeon drive a bus, or would it not be a good idea? And whatever the child comes up with, you don't get to correct them. You get to say, so let's say the child says, oh, I think it'd be good for a penguin to drive a bus. Of course, that would be fun, right? So I'm curious, what would be fun about that? And let them tell you, what might not be fun about it? What could happen? So again, you're sending them within thinking to think about it rather than just saying, well, no, you couldn't have a penguin drive a bus. See, we want them to think, right?
and I heard a child once say, because he can't see over the steering wheel. And I was like, good point,
Yeah.
good point, right? Same kind of thing today is a very cold day about, wearing clothing. And I know that's often a struggle for families and children. I'm not wearing my coat today. Put your coat on, we're leaving now, let's put your coat on. What would you say about this? What would you say, Crystal, if your boys were like, other than saying, okay, guess what, I got the car warmed up and we're leaving, let's go, I'll pick you up and put you in the car. What would you say about not wanting to wear a coat?
I would say, what do you think's going to happen when you go outside? And then when they go outside, they'll see what's going to happen.
Good question. Mhm.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. How about Nat, what do you think?
We went through this morning.
Henry, I'm sure, with Henry, yes?
No, with my
Not-
son.
Oh,
I do not want to zip up my coat. I do not want to wear my hat. I said, okay, fine, let's go out the door. We got out the door, and he said, I'm cold. I'm zipping up, I'm putting on my hat.
Perfect.
Natural
I'm like-
consequences.
that's one of the big pieces through this program too, is that children are learning through the consequences, right? So not letting them have that consequence really just stifles that learning piece.
Yes.
Um,
And when they run into a consequence, we can approach it with empathy. Say, oh, I bet it's not fun to be cold. What could you do so you could feel warmer?
And this example here reminds me of how it's so easy for parents, for myself, to become impatient and to just control, which is like the first level that we talk about in the book, of commanding or dominating, kind of treating your child like a dog, like you're going to put on this coat, you're going to do it now. And that example reminds me of how that's where I need to be calm. You have to work out of a state of calmness if you want to find success with your child. And it's a challenge for me to know that there are better ways than the old ways that I've been using.
Great. And I heard you bring up a point about the levels, and this is called the ladder. It's the rungs of the ladder that you climb. so that, you don't start at the top and fall down on your head. Maybe you do. You start at the top, meaning I've got the program, I know what I'm doing, and then all of a sudden you fall off the ladder, bonk yourself on the head, and you go, okay, let me start again, right? Because it's not about perfection. It's not about perfection. What is it about? What's it about? When you look at this ladder, what does that bring you back to when Peggy was talking to you? Where do we start?
I could jump in, but could
ahead,
let
go
the
ahead.
others a little
We
bit.
all start at the bottom.
You all started at the
rung one.
Rung one.
The ultimate goal is rung 4.
What's rung
I-
one tell you?
You're not getting your child to think at rung 1, you're just demanding. And in a way, it belittles the child and they feel unimportant and they don't think about things. And we all get there probably in very intense situations where we're rushing out the door, or maybe all the kids are throwing a fit at the same time.
Having 3 children, yes, that might
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, perfect, you're right. It is about giving the child some personal capabilities and strengthening their capabilities and confidence in their ability to make a decision that you will support. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Rung one, so really starting at the bottom. And then rung 2 would be what?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I really appreciated you in the classes, Nat, because you were always so honest. In fact, everybody was so honest, but there were times when you'd say, yeah, I fell down to rung 1. But then you would also give examples of when you were on rung 4 and and that's what it's about, that 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we don't give up.
It's definitely a process, and it's definitely the ladder and the concepts that we learned. It's not after 8 weeks. That's the end of the course. Like you go rehash this material because you need to in order to be effective down the road. You know?
It's all about practice too. You have to keep practicing to try to be on rung 4 all the time.
Yep.
And asking your children more questions, and do you think that's a good choice, what you're doing? And now my daughter will be honest and she'll say, no, Mom, that wasn't a good choice.
Yes, and it's also a little bit about self-reflection, right? You have to reflect on your parenting style, and what is your go-to? What's your go-to? My go-to is, do it because I said so. Or else, right? So the consequence will be my or else, and the consequence really shouldn't be my or else. It should be, I'm cold. I need my coat on, Mom. Good, I'm glad you decided to put your coat on. So that's good.
My rung, I always hit rung number 3, which I find myself talking too much,
Talking too much.
way too much. But that's my rung I go to a lot.
Perfect. Yep, perfect. The other piece of the course, and maybe you can share this because,
Well, what this is about is what I love about this course is that parents take home practical tools that's laid out right in front of them that can lead you right up the ladder. So they give you step by step. So it gives you the actual questions that you can ask the child. And that's what this is all about. So what might happen? So how did that make you feel? So you felt happy. How do you think Mom felt? So what I love about this course is one of the problems when children get into school, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, a lot of children in today's world are struggling with behavior problems. More kids are medicated than ever before, right? And it's because they have not learned social and emotional competence. We cannot expect kids to learn if they don't have emotional and social competence. That's what this class does. And it leads the parents down a path where you can ensure that your children are going to learn social cues. They're going to learn how to think in terms of consequences. They're going to learn how to have empathy. All of those things are learned, but they're not learned by telling.
Right.
They're learned by learning how to ask. So this page actually is what you have in your book that gives you step by step how to be on rung 4 of the ladder. So it's not just guesswork.
and every family that participates gets this workbook for free, so that you can, have the problem set up, you can refer back to it, you can do an activity with the child, and it's a great workbook. We have sponsors that pay for the workbook for us to do the program, so I'm really happy about that. Go ahead.
So if you have children who are impulsive, this is a great course. Because when you teach kids to think, especially children who tend to be impulsive, when you teach them to think, what you're teaching them is to step back and think about, oh, what might happen if I do choose that path? So they learn to think ahead of time. And that is essential for them as far as being able to make good choices. When you raise a thinking child, here's the confidence that you can have. That even when the parent is not around, the child has the skills to make a good choice because they've learned to think. So they're not dependent on somebody to always tell them.
Often I hear children say, well, what do I do next? How do I do that? I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this raising a thinking child hopefully empowers them to be a little more confident in their abilities and not depend on the parent or teacher to answer those simple questions like, what color do I need to use next? Follow the directions, things like that. Anybody have any examples that they'd like to share?
I think that having our daughter go to kindergarten for the first time was a little scary for us, because when you're at home, you can be that demanding parent and tell them what to do all the time. But now she's going to kindergarten, and I can't be there all the time to tell her what to do. So it helps that I feel like she's thinking on her own and making her own decisions. And with this program, I feel her decisions might be better decisions.
Perfect, yeah, exactly. Anything else?
So my son came home the other day from school and he said, no one will play with me today. And I said, well, why do you think that is? And
perfect.
he's like, I don't really know. And I'm like, well, what do you think the other kids are feeling? And he said, well, I don't know. I was just playing dinosaurs. I didn't want to worry. I just wanted to play dinosaurs. I'm like, well, could you have done something to maybe involve the other kids? And he's like, yes, I could have asked them nicely to come play with me. So the next day he goes to school and he asks the kids to play with him nicely, and he gets 2 kids to play with. So.
There you go.
And he doesn't normally, he doesn't normally critically think or do stuff like that, so.
What I love about your story is that it transitions what you've taught, what you've used in the home, out into the community, out into the school. So he's not just using it on your cues.
Mm-hmm.
He's using it outside in his school environment and realizing that he has an impact on his environment.
Yeah, he's definitely learning empathy from this.
Yep.
Thinking about how other people feel.
It's good.
And what I love about that story is you really modeled what I think parenting is about, that we are not the authority, you do it this way or else, punishment, but rather we're teachers, we're guides. So you guided him to think and to come up with a conclusion that he was then able to go in and do something different, and he had a different outcome. It's beautiful.
Now, what you said to me, and I think what you said to our evaluator when they came to evaluate the program, was that you were glad that it was a small, comfortable group of people.
Absolutely. At most, in one of the classes, there was 8 people or so. I've been to a lot of lectures, whatever else, where there's been 25, 30, 75 people, and the instructors are always talking at you, not talking with you.
Right, right.
You don't get a chance to tell what's worked for you, what hasn't worked, where you're having problems. Having a small, intimate group, the best thing that ever happened.
Mm-hmm. Terrific, right. And this is a pretty standardized workshop for parents for that 8 weeks. But we also offer the Parent Cafe, which Many of you have participated in the Parent Cafe as well. And I'm hoping that the Parent Cafe has that same flavor, that we pose a question, we pose a topic, and you are the experts. You are the experts. We all learn from each other. I'm not the big red lips that sits in front of the room and tells you how to do it. And I certainly would guide you if you had a question. But in that discussion, Paula might come up with a way that she does it at her home, and Nat and Candy might come up with a different way. But when you hear the problem solving and the solutions, you're more apt to use what you hear that works with other parents. So I'm really glad for that small group comment. That was a good idea.
The children love it too. Victoria loves going to the parent
So
cafes.
Victoria likes coming
She
to the
does.
parent cafes, exactly. Our parent cafes are once a month, and we do the dinner, we do childcare, and then this adult discussion.
By the way, if people want to know more about Raising a Thinking Child, that's coming up, right?
Yes, we're doing another series of Raising a Thinking Child, so anybody that would like to participate, call the office.
But on January 24th.
On
the
January
parenting-
24th, exactly, thank you. January 24th, in the evening, in Wilbraham, we are doing a parent cafe focused on raising a thinking child. So parents can come, it is, like I said, free, it's with dinner, it's with childcare. Peggy will be here as our guide and our consultant, and it's a great way to meet the group of parents that will be involved. Thank you for reminding me of that. Love the groups. Love your kids. Kids come all dynamics. And right now, they're out there with their childcare adults that we bring in so that they're safe and that they're engaged and they're happy. And I know that they enjoy coming, which I'm happy about.
The one thing that the kids really love too is the paper with the paths to choose.
Oh,
That too.
When if they're taking the bad path or the good path or the good choice or bad choice. Our son, when we showed it to him, we had to make like 10 or 15 copies of it, and they're up all over the house. He's got a couple in our toy room, in our bathroom, in the bathroom downstairs, in their bathroom. He's got them on his bedroom mirror. Everywhere you look in the house, they are. And in their toy room, they've got pencil marks that between him and my grandson, they've got it all marked, all pointed up the good path, and they'll talk to each other in there if they've gotten in trouble, and he'll ask Henry, he'll say, Henry, what path are we choosing? We can't be on
Wow.
the good path because we're getting in trouble. So we gotta come over here and go up this one, and they're using their fingers or their pencils, or they'll go wherever there's another sign or piece of paper, and they'll say that they'll ask to get another copy of it because there's somewhere that doesn't have one if they're going toward the bad path, because they want a reminder to show them of the good path to choose.
And would that be an example of a tool that's very practical that you could implement and notice how it's getting the child to think, what path am I on?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we can teach children how to think in terms of consequences.
Yes.
I had one family where the mom said her little 3-year-old, they had the 2 paths in the kitchen, and she was in the kitchen, and all of a sudden the mom was in the living room, and she called into mom, and she said, Mom, I think I'm on the wrong path. A 3-year-old. We can start teaching kids to think at such an early age.
Yeah,
But
well,
the
my
other-
grandson,
go ahead.
he's 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
And he's come to all the classes with us, and he just loves to go to see Miss Cindy for daycare. And he thinks it's the greatest thing going, but he knows he's all about the paths because Elijah has taught him or showed him the picture, and where it shows you the good path with the castle and all the pretty colors, and then the bad choice is just a black picture or a black house or castle. And they know that what one they have to be on, because we'll just ask them if they're in the toy room and starting to fight, one of the adults may say to them, what path are you guys choosing to go down right now?
And what might have you have said in the past before you took this class?
Oh, probably yelled at them and told them to knock it off.
Right. Rather than having them think, and what's going to happen, what might happen if you stay on that path, right?
Yep.
And what could you do to do a U-turn so that you can make your life a little bit easier? Or so you can have, more privileges or whatever you have set up in your home. But what we're doing, and I love the book with this too, because there's a nice picture of the brain early on. And what we're really doing in raising a thinking child is we're helping children to, because children live, if you think of the brain as a house, we have the upstairs and the downstairs. Children live in the downstairs most of the time because they're little feelers, right? And so they live in their feelings. Often they can get hijacked by their amygdala, which is the primitive brain, which is in the downstairs brain. But when we ask them questions, when they're calm, you can't teach them when they're upset, right? But when they're calm, when you use books like Cindy brought and you ask them questions and you talk through things, what you're doing is you're taking them from the feeling and you're giving them a stairway to go up and tap into their upstairs brain, which is our thinking brain. So instead of just acting on impulse, now they're going to step back and say, right, but what's going to happen if I actually do that? So the upstairs brain protects the downstairs brain, but we have to teach them how to do that.
But I love the way Candy brought up the paths, because then you're thinking that we're going to use this when they're young, when they're 3.5, but then you're hoping that they start thinking pathwise when they're adolescents. And this is the path that's going to take me toward college, and this is the path that's going to take me toward, a road we don't want them to go on.
Yeah.
One of the things I'd like to bring up also is that I can problem solve. It's kind of the acronym that is used in the book. ICPS. ICPS. And it gives you the words, is or is not, right? Some of these words are like, you know them, but we don't often use them. Is this or is this not a good idea? Some of the other words, and they have words for every level of the home, I guess. The bathroom, the kitchen, the sharing with kids, the bikes.
I love the picture where there's a glass toward the edge of the table, and you say to the child, is this a good place or not a good place for this glass to be? And instead of doing it directly to the child when they have the glass in the wrong place, it kind of takes it away from them so they can think about it without feeling that they did something wrong.
Right.
So I just love that. And then, so what would be a better place for that glass?
Right. And when we make those mistakes, when we make that mistake, I could say, you know what, I put the cup on the edge of the table, that wasn't a great idea. We have to fess up and use those kind of models. Any last minute comments or questions or ideas? Oh, one of the things Peggy and I talked about is that this group and future groups, we're going to open up a blog so that we can continue having this conversation with each other about what's working, what's not working, how do we change it if it needs changing. So we're always accessible to follow up with you and any of the families that participate in our program.
What do you all think of that?
We need you.
We all need support. We need each other.
So that blog is going to be put onto our website, and it'll be a blog for people who have attended, so that it's not too wild.
So we'll all be speaking the same language.
We'll all be speaking the same language, exactly. Any other lasting comments?
Just
Let me
for you.
also say to you that you are welcome to come back to our second series. If you missed a class and you just want a refresher, you're welcome to come back. And we have thank you cards. We have actually not thank you cards, but we have certificates of completion for your family. So you each get a certificate of completion along with the incentive for having participated of a gift card. So, and it is part of the program, so for anybody that comes to our future ones, and this one, so here's the Bootins. Thank you for participating.
thank you.
Here's the Collins family. And here's the Caputo family.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You all did a great job. You're a wonderful group of parents, wonderful group of friends. And Peggy, thanks for your support.
It's been my pleasure.
Until next time, I'm Cindy Milner for Pathways for Parents. Hi, I'm Cindy Milner from Pathways for Parents. I'm here to tell you about a new program that's happening at the East Long Meadow Library and a couple of libraries in our region. It is called Starlings. What we know from research is that the more you talk to your baby, the better the baby outcomes will be in school. The libraries are presenting a program called Starlings. Please check with the library listing in their calendars. It is based on brain rules for babies, and it is a tool that monitors how much you talk to your child. It's a monitor that you wear, and it measures the number of words that you use. Research shows the more words you use with your child as an infant, as a toddler, and as they're growing, the better their outcomes are for language and school achievements. This is purchased through the libraries. The seminars are free. It's on the 17th at 6:30, 17th at East Long Meadow Library. Contact me if you'd like more information.